Hi there, Perfecto here and welcome to my channel. It is the start of the new year 2020 and I'm pretty sure that every single one of us has committed to a set of resolutions for ourselves. And usually for us guitar players, one of those resolutions involve practicing. Either starting to practice more or practicing consistently. And since my channel's catchphrase is practice makes perfecto, in this video I will give you the 3 P's of effective practicing to help you keep your New Year's resolution. Before we begin, I'd like to thank each and every one of you who've already bought their own Practice Makes Perfecto t-shirts. Your support helps me keep making videos like this for everybody to enjoy. Now, if you want a stylish reminder to get off your butt and start practicing your guitar, you can buy these Practice Makes Perfecto t-shirts in the Philippines through shirtly.ph/perfdecastro. International orders, please go to perfectodecastro.threadless.com or through the YouTube merch shelf right below this video. All clickable links are in the description box. And when you receive your shirts, please send me a photo of you wearing it either through my Facebook page or Instagram account so that I can feature you in future videos, as I have done with my friends right here. The 3 P's of effective practicing are as follows: pick up, polish, and play. Think of these as progressive categories or phases in which you can organize all the things that you're working on in your practice sessions. Pickup is the learning phase. This is the time you decide to learn something and commit to working on it. The pickup phase is also when you gather all the materials you'll need during learning, such as song chords, song lyrics, tabs, reference books, recordings, and so on. You're going to need all these materials handy so you can start learning and getting to know them really well, even before you put your fingers on the guitar strings. Now, I need to stress that during the pickup phase, you need to pick out very specific things to learn and not go after broad general topics. An example of a broad general topic is music theory. Music theory encompasses a lot of things, and if that is your goal, it is going to be very easy to be overwhelmed by it. So an example of a specific thing, let's say under music theory, you can pick out, okay, I want to learn everything about major chords. So choosing that very specific thing focuses all your energies into learning it so that you can push it through the other phases and you can start learning another specific thing once you've done so. Now, depending on your skill level, even specific things may need to be broken up into even smaller specific things. So for example, you are tackling a song that is beyond your skill level. You can focus on just learning the verse part of that song first, and then push it through the other phases, and then you can tackle another part of the song, and so on and so forth, rinse and repeat. The next P is polish. And in this phase, this is where the real physical work begins. Here we start taking all the things that we learned in the pickup phase and start programming them into our fingers. And I should say that a lot of the recommended practice approaches and routines fall under this phase. And this is the phase where you do things like repetition, drills, and tempo building. This is the time that you get to know the material intimately, get familiar with every single aspect of it, and learn to play it forwards and backwards, and you should be able to start and stop at any given point. And when it starts feeling good and comfortable, you can start testing yourself to see how well absorbed and ingrained everything you've learned is. Now that you've picked up the material, learned it really well, and have put in work polishing it, the third P is play. And this is where you shut your brain off and just let the music out. In this phase, you should no longer worry about what finger to use to play this note and which string to play it on, because by now you should have already worked that out and it should already be second nature. Then you can focus all your attention to applying everything that you've learned and turning them into sounds and emotions that you could use in your music. Shut up and play. That's this phase. As I mentioned earlier, think of the 3 P's as progressive categories or phases in which you can better organize everything that you're learning and working on in your practice sessions. A typical practice approach does not spend enough time in the pickup phase and usually jumps straight to the play phase or gets stuck in the polish phase. Organizing all the things that you're working on according to these phases ensures that you're spending enough time, focus, and energy onto learning these materials, thus making effective use of your practice sessions. Now let's say you have 60 minutes that you can devote to guitar practice every day. We can divide that as follows. The first 15 minutes will be the pickup phase, and then you're going to take a break for 5 minutes. The second 15 minutes will be dedicated to the polish phase, and then after which you're going to take another 5-minute break. And the final 20 minutes you can spend in the play phase. Now ideally you have different materials in each of the phases. And here's an example of how it would look like. So let's say this week you decided to learn all the pentatonic boxes in E minor. So your pickup phase can be spent looking for the diagrams of the E minor pentatonic all over the neck. Then spend some time learning what the exact notes are in E minor pentatonic. And you can spend some time watching instructional material about the E minor pentatonic boxes. So as you spend the first part of your practice session doing all those things, before you know it, 15 minutes will be up and take your mandatory break. Give your brain a rest. Now let's get into the polish phase. Instead of working on the E minor pentatonic boxes that you learned in the pickup phase, you should be devoting your time to a work in progress. So let's say last week you started learning a song by Metallica and you're not quite there yet as far as playing it up to speed. You can use the polish phase of this practice session so that you can keep working on the song and keep making progress. While working on the song, try to analyze and figure out what it is exactly that's keeping you from playing it at performance level, and try to sort that out. Then before you know it, 15 minutes is up and it's time for you to take a rest, give those fingers a little break. Now we get to the play phase of our practice session. By now your brain is probably a little tired from learning the E minor pentatonic boxes and from concentrating so much in trying to figure out and analyze what you're doing wrong in that Metallica song and trying to work it out. So instead of having you concentrate even further, now is the time to dip into the songs that you know by heart and just start playing. Enjoy your instrument. In case you haven't noticed yet, I'm going to mention that the 3P's are also arranged according to the amount of focus and concentration that you'll need to get through them. Now, usually at the beginning of the practice session, we are excited to play guitar and our brain is sharp and focused and open to learning, which is why the pickup phase is always first, because that is when we are most receptive to learning new things. Now, after spending some brain power learning new things, our focus is diminished somewhat. So in the polish phase, we focus on skills building and our brain switches from learning mode to supervising mode. And in this mode, our brain focuses on application and making sure that we are building our skills correctly. And as I mentioned earlier, in the play phase, we can turn our brain off and let muscle memory take over. Well, we're not really turning our brain off. We are giving it a break from learning and supervising and letting it focus on some fun stuff such as creativity and enjoyment. Now, since a lot of us have things to do other than play guitar, we don't have to go through all 3P's in just one sitting because there will be stressful and tiring days. And when you get home after such a day, the last thing you'll want to do is concentrate even more trying to learn guitar. With that in mind, feel free to pick a phase to dedicate your guitar session to, depending on how you feel. So on those stressful, tiring days, you can dedicate your guitar practice session to just playing so that you can blow off some steam and release some stress. Now, if you know ahead of time that some days are going to be busy for you, maybe you can schedule your guitar practice session before you start your busy day so you can work on the things that you have in the pickup phase. You can also divide your guitar practice week according to the phases. Let's say you need to learn 2 songs by the end of the week. So you can devote Monday and Tuesday guitar practice to the pickup phase, learn everything you can and gather all the materials you need to learn the songs. And then Wednesday, Thursday will be your polishing days. Friday, those songs should be at the tail end of the polishing phase and entering the play phase. That way, by Saturday, you don't have to worry and you'll be able to perform and play those songs confidently. It's also not unheard of to move things that you've already learned in between the phases. So let's say there's a particular song that you haven't played in a while and you've sort of forgotten how to play it. You can move it back to the polishing phase. That way you can work it back up to speed so that you can put it back in the play phase. Or maybe you need to play a song that you've learned a long time ago and you've totally forgotten how it goes. So you can put it back in the pickup phase, relearn it and refresh everything that you know about the song, then push it back to the polishing phase, and finally back into the play phase. By now it's obvious that there's a lot of ways to implement the 3P's of practicing. So feel free to work it out according to your skill level and according to your needs as a player. In closing, let me say that the 3P's of effective practicing is applicable not only to guitar, but to pretty much every musical instrument. In fact, you can also apply it to other aspects of your life as well, from school to work to hobbies, to pretty much anything that involves learning, skills building, and mastery. Now let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love hearing from you guys. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up like, feel free to share it with your friends, and do subscribe if you haven't yet. Ring that notification bell so that you'll be part of the notification squad. Okay, now go grab your guitar and work out the 3P's, because you know the drill. PMP. Practice makes perfecto. That's so bad. See you guys again soon. Cheers.